What's up everybody, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be taking a walk down memory lane and we're going to share with you guys all of the experiences we had with breakdowns with our RV.
Yep, we are calling it our year in breakdowns because this is every breakdown we experienced during our first year of full-time RV living.
So these are all the things we didn't show you while we were on our trip, but we wanted to be real with you guys and show you guys some of the turmoil and struggles that you have to go through to actually have a good experience with full-time RV living.
As you might have seen in a previous video, we broke down all the costs that it took us to get to the point where we were ready to take off in the RV. One big category of those expenses was mechanical and tires. So we spent about $3,500 just getting it ready to go. With that being said, we absolutely still anticipated having breakdowns. Anytime you are in a moving vehicle, there's going to be maintenance repairs and possible breakdowns, especially with an older vehicle. And
we did budget for that. We budgeted about $200 a month, thinking that would help with both repairs as well as maintenance along the way. We just didn't expect all of the breakdowns to happen the way that they did happen. Shoot. It's not good.
It's not good at all.
Okay.
Okay, put the hazards on.
I did. Hi everybody. Welcome to our first ever breakdown. How many miles in? About 3,000 miles in. So the first breakdown happened in Kentucky on our way up to the northeast. Alright, so hello everybody. As you can see, our RV is on the side of the highway because when we were going up a hill, it started to kind of putter and act like it wasn't running correctly. It almost acted to me like it was the transmission, but I'm crossing my fingers that the last time we filled up, the gas station's gas pump incorrectly told us that our gas tank was full. So I'm really hoping that that's the case. As a side note, you may be wondering why we wouldn't just check the fuel gauge on the RV. Well, it's because we have a fuel gauge that does not work, and it's because it's a faulty sending unit. It's just a problem that persists, and it's a design flaw, and we've been recommended by mechanics not to get it fixed because it's just gonna happen again. It's just gonna fail again. But anyway, when we got up on that hill and the RV started to sputter, we had somebody come out and fill up with 5 gallons, pump the accelerator, and crank that engine over, and it finally turned over. It was a huge relief to us because we didn't have to get it towed, and all we had to do was just drive it to the nearest gas station. We just drove about 8 miles away from where we were actually broken down on the side of the road, or we thought we were broken down on the side of the road. We had gotten misinformation from multiple sources, even the instruction manual
telling us how big our gas tank was wrong.
Yeah, it was telling us that. Yeah, it was telling us we had a single tank that was 36 gallons, and then some person told us that we had 2 tanks. One of them's a 20 gallon, one of them's a 16 gallon, and then anyway. Long story short is we just didn't know enough about the RV, and so all these things kind of started happening, and we kept it just didn't make sense to us. So when we got into New York after this first breakdown in Kentucky, that kind of made us realize that we probably have some bigger issues that we need to kind of deal with. And it was more age-related stuff with the RV, but Jenny can kind of tell you a little bit more about what happened to us right before we got to Watkins Glen.
Yes, this is fun. All right, so we were on our way to Watkins Glen, and we stopped at a pilot station to fill up, and New York was going through a heat wave.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to take it pretty easy on the engine. We weren't really sure how it was going to perform in the heat and everything like that. Anyway, we get to a gas station, we filled it up, we tried to turn the engine on after we'd filled up, and it wouldn't turn over.
So we get on the phone with roadside assistance after, we filled up the tank, make sure there wasn't a gas issue, and we were just like, okay, I checked all the fluids, make sure nothing else was wrong. So after all those minor checks that I knew about, we called roadside assistance and kind of troubleshooted with them a little bit. They were going to send out a mobile mechanic, but mobile mechanics can't come fix your RV if it's next to something that's flammable, like a gas station.
Yeah.
If you're by the pumps, you know, there's times that Mr. Justus, we can send a mobile mechanic out.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
But if you're at the pumps, I can't do it.
Oh, okay.
So the only option, you know, since you're at the pumps, is to get it towed.
We figured, okay, before we tell them to go ahead and get us towed, let's just give it a few minutes.
I'm gonna try it again.
Hey, what, you know, yes, I mean, can I place you on hold and try to find
So it just started up, but it's done that before, and then it just idled.
Hey Jenny, it's good now. Sure enough, it cranked over, it started running, and so we get back out on the road, and you know, we're cruising along, and we hit this like slight incline, a very long slight incline, and RV starts to do the same type of thing. So I pull off on the nearest exit, you know, basically coast into like some elementary school in a small town in New York.
If you are experiencing a breakdown of an automobile, pickup truck, or motorcycle and have nothing in tow, press 1.
The engine seems to be kind of like lurching whenever I press on the accelerator. It's not dying down, but it's kind of doing the same thing that it was doing. Yeah, we were just like baffled by it. We have no idea what it is, and we had called this place. Okay, perfect. I'll look you guys up on the GPS, and we'll hopefully be over there soon. All right, let's try it again. Cross your fingers. Let's see if we can make it to this repair shop. 20 minutes later, you know, we finally got it to turn over again. What's that popping noise?
Is the engine connected?
Yeah, we're driving this thing when it's all sorts of janky. You know, the RV's running, so I'm like trying to get it there as fast as we can. And like an hour and a half later, we roll into the place after the RV like stopping running. How many times? Like 3 times.
Yeah. In 900 feet, turn right on Beacon.
RV, you got this.
Come on, please, Harvey, do this. Make it, make it, make it, make it. Come on.
We pulled off on a road, stopped running. So we're like pulled off on the side of the road. Okay, let's wait for it. Come on, 0.3 miles. Fuel injector, all you gotta do is start, purr like a kitten. I'm gonna go up there, back around. We're gonna go just straight. I'm gonna give you enough gas so we can roll in. Cool?
Oh my gosh. Okay, go, 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 go.
And we kept doing that until we finally coasted into this place, and we were just like so happy we made it there.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
You got this, buddy.
Yes.
I'm just gonna pull it in. We just got this thing here. Oh my goodness. But it was 4:30 on a Friday. So the guy comes out, checks it out, and he's like, I'm pretty sure it's a fuel pump issue. Based on what you're telling me.
We can't do it today because they were already packing up to close.
Yeah.
But he's like, we'll get you first thing
Yeah.
Friday or Monday morning.
Yeah, he told us, and so they actually allowed us to park out back, and since we had solar on the RV, we were golden, we had electricity, and so we got as much work done as we could over the weekend. And on Monday morning, first thing, 8 o'clock, they're there, they get it fixed, and we are on the road again by like 11 o'clock that morning. You know, we got showers, and they allowed us to dump our tanks because they had a dump station in the back of the place, and we were just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, and we were off to Watkins Glen. So that was the last breakdown for a little bit. We went through lots of different states in the Northeast, and we made it all the way up to Maine. And that leads us into our 3rd breakdown. Gosh, I'm gonna run out of fingers by the time this is done. We were in Mexico, Maine.
Yeah, we had just left Acadia. We had just visited friends and spent time with them in Acadia. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And
you're probably wondering, where's Mexico, Maine? And I don't even know where Mexico, Maine is.
It's
I mean,
really, really small
it's
little
like
town.
I think 2,000 population or 3,000 population town, and it was just nobody there could work on an RV. But what happened was, is we were going down like the main street, the main strip where all the little shops were, and basically I heard this like just awful screeching noise that was coming from underneath the RV. So I had Jenny hop in the driver's seat so I could get out on the sidewalk and listen to where the screeching was coming from. It sounded like it was coming from the drive shaft.
Right in the middle of the RV, in the floor.
And basically what it didn't happen when it was going in reverse, and it was only happening when you put it into drive and moved it forward. So what we had to do is call around and just beg somebody to help us fix this RV. So we pull up to this shop and he gets it backed up onto these jacks so he can get underneath and take a look at it. He had me drive it around for a little bit and basically determined that it was the U-joints in the RV that were just old and didn't have any grease on them anymore and just needed to be replaced. It's an age-related issue. So we were like, can you do it? And he was like, yes. We stayed there overnight, and then the next day he was able to fix them, thankfully. So in Mexico, Maine, we got all 4 U-joints in the RV fixed. And we thought it was all over, man. I mean, the RV was driving perfect. The sound was gone. Everything was golden, right?
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
After we left Maine, we were on our way to visit family in Webster, New York when our next breakdown happened. Well, we're in this place again. The place where something's wrong with the RV and we don't know what it is.
We were going down a busy highway and the RV made some weird
made a popping noise.
Like a popping noise up in the upper right, or at least that's where it sounded like it came from. So, you know, I pulled off in the nearest rest stop just to kind of check things out, and you know, didn't see anything wrong with it. It wasn't acting up. The engine wasn't sputtering or anything like that. So, get back in the RV and try to get off the rest stop. You know, get in the on-ramp, and I'm pressing down on the accelerator, and I can't get the RV to go basically more than 35 or 40 miles an hour. You hear it?
What is it? This is as fast as you can go?
It is. There's not a lot of exits on this highway for some reason, so we have to go probably a good 2 miles down the road before we get to another exit. I pull off into this parking lot and immediately call the nearest mechanic. We find one that's about maybe 5 miles down the road, and it's a 55-mile-an-hour 2-lane highway. We're gonna go get this thing checked out. Take it like a champ. Ready?
Yep. How can you be in a good mood right now?
You know, we've gotten into so many things with this RV, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's just part of the territory. We're just lucky enough that we're able to drive this thing to the places. We don't have to get it towed. Really lucky. We start the RV up and we start driving down the highway, and now the RV is actually going very easily. It's going 55 miles an hour. And I'm thinking to myself, that's kind of weird. So we get to this mechanic shop, and he, we tell him all the symptoms of everything that kind of happened, and he basically, he knew pretty much right away what it was. I mean, he got underneath, looked in the engine. We showed him where the heat was coming from. He said he thought that we had a clogged catalytic converter. I guess there's a core inside of your catalytic converter that runs in your exhaust pipe that can become dislodged and basically block the exhaust. So he recommended if the RV is driving fine, that the clog was basically
it fixed itself.
It fixed itself for the time being. He said it's going to be an issue in the near future, but he said if you can make it down to another state, he said we'll save ourselves basically
50% or something.
50% or something crazy, because their catalytic converter prices are just nuts because of the regulations. So we knew that the catalytic converter was needing to be fixed, right? We made it to family in Buffalo, and then we shot straight down south to try to get out of New York, and we made it to Ohio, where I had some family in northern Ohio. We had an awesome time visiting with family there, and we were crossing our fingers that the RV would make it all the way to Missouri, because that's where we were planning on having the catalytic converter replaced, because it's going to be a lot cheaper. Well, right outside, about 2 hours outside of family in Ohio, what happened?
Started doing it the same thing again, the clogged catalytic converter.
Yep.
So we're broken down on the side of the highway in somewhere Ohio, but you know, we're keeping our spirits up. We know that this is just par for the course. It's part of this. Yeah, that's where it gets really crazy.
Yeah, this is where some crazy stuff happens.
So the guy that came to tow us, he has to, you know, unhook all this stuff in order to hook the RV on.
Right.
Doesn't he have to undo the drive shaft or something?
Yeah, or like they have to do some stuff with the towed vehicle so that the wheels can spin freely and it doesn't mess up the transmission. So he's under there, you know, working on getting the RV ready to tow. And it turns out,
he goes, if you guys would have gone 2 more miles down the road, your drive shaft would have come down like this and shot up straight through your RV floor.
He basically pulled the drive shaft off with his hands. Like he didn't have to unscrew anything, no tools. He basically just, you know, pulled the drive shaft out, and he's like, did you guys know that your drive shaft was loose? And we were like, no.
So we were this close to having
major issues. Yeah.
Issues.
So
we're super thankful for that, but it's kind of funny when you think back, you know, that breakdown was a blessing.
Yeah.
Because it helped diagnose a more serious problem.
Yeah, and so we get this RV towed to this place. We tell them exactly what's wrong. All we need is the drive shaft tightened, and we need a new catalytic converter. So we're in there, and they were great, and they had a little pit bay that they pulled the RV into. They could get the proper leverage to get the drive shaft tightened, and they got a brand new catalytic converter put on for a lot less expensive than we would have paid in New York.
So we pull out of the shop with a brand new catalytic converter. The RV's running great. And at this point, we are starving. So we headed to our favorite place to eat, Chipotle.
Yep, it's dinner time, like right before it's gonna get dark. And we're like, let's just rock out on some food, just relax a little bit, because we've gone through quite a few breakdowns, and we're just thankful that the RV is running good, right? So we get pulled into the parking lot, and I pull it into reverse to kind of pull it into this spot that's gonna be out of the way. And as soon as I flip it into reverse, sputter, sputter, sputter. Dead.
So we're here at a Chipotle parking lot. We literally an hour ago left the mechanic shop from getting a new catalytic converter, and we're broken down again. Thankfully, there's like, it seems like there's always good that comes out of these situations. And the good in this situation is that there was a really nice guy who stopped, and he happened to work on RVs for a living. And so, totally a godsend. This guy helped us diagnose what was wrong, and he and Michael figured out that it's the relay switch, and he actually just went to a nearby auto parts store to get a relay switch that they need.
Maybe an hour later, we have a brand new relay switch. We're buying him dinner at Chipotle, and I think we threw him like $30 or something. I mean, seriously, like, awesome of him to do this. Boom.
Yes! Heck yeah! Woohoo! We fired it up, and it was driving great again. And we made it all the way to Missouri, where we sold the scooter. We also picked up our Civic, which we desperately needed. We realized like all these breakdowns would have been so much easier to handle if we had another vehicle.
Right.
So anyway, we picked up our Civic, and then we headed down towards Florida.
Yeah, southeast. That was the next like portion of our trip, was in the southeast. As we're making our way down to southern Florida, we get into the mountains of Tennessee, and sure enough, the RV started lurching yet again.
The RV is still lurching and having fuel issues going up hills. and we can't for the life of us figure out why.
The same issue pops up one more time, and we get it to a shop that thankfully has the proper equipment to like fully analyze and figure out and diagnose what's really going on with this RV. Jenny and I are sitting in a shop in Manchester, Tennessee, and we have no choice but to be here because we broke down on the highway, and Good Sam only allows you to go to specific areas. So we just got towed here, and it's gonna be roughly $900 to have all of this stuff fixed. A couple fuel pumps. What we didn't know is we had 2 fuel pumps.
No one this whole time had ever told us this.
We had 2 fuel pumps.
They've only told us that we had 1 fuel pump.
Yeah, so we gotten the inline fuel pump replaced in New York, and when we got it finally down to Tennessee, the same exact issue was happening. The guy said the fuel pump inside the gas tank was bad. And so we were like, well, we didn't know we had a fuel pump in the gas tank. He's like, well, it's bad. He said also the inline fuel pump's bad too because it's been overworking this entire time. So basically we've been running off of 1 fuel pump this entire trip, and they're supposed to work consecutively. One's supposed to draw the gas out of the tank and the other one's supposed to deliver it to the engine. So thankfully, like, it was a sense of relief, and we didn't care how much money it was gonna cost us. We were just like, please get this done. Like, and they dropped the tank. They got that fuel pump replaced. They asked us if we wanted to get the sending unit replaced too so we could have a working fuel gauge, but it was gonna be an extra $400 something just to get the sending unit done. And he suggested that we probably just leave it alone because it's gonna happen again. So we got both those fuel pumps replaced, and literally for the rest of the trip, for the next 6 to 7 months that we were in the RV traveling across all over the country, up the Colorado mountains, it was perfect. I mean, the RV still is perfect. I have full confidence in the RV. It was the fuel pump issue from the beginning, as well as the catalytic converter. So basically we had issues with delivering fuel from the tank to the engine, and we had issues with the exhaust coming out of the RV. Both things are required for the RV to run, basically.
Obviously.
So, and they were all age-related things, so it wasn't anything that was crucial with the engine or transmission or anything like that. So we're so thankful for that, and we had an amazing rest of the trip.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, those breakdowns tested every part of our will that we possibly had.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough. Jenny is a video fanatic, and she loves pulling out the camera, and not a lot of people will pull out the camera when it's in a really tough situation. You'll find that a lot of times people just don't want to pull out the camera and video those hard times.
Worst time to pull out a camera is when you're upset and frustrated. That's why it doesn't happen that often. But I wanted to show you guys what we feel like, and that if you're going through this, other people go through this as well, so you're not alone.
Just understand these types of situations you'll find yourself in, and just learn to embrace them and overcome them.
Yep.
and just turn them into positives, because they're just, the way I put it was, this whole trip completely transformed me, because I used to go into it thinking, oh my gosh, another thing to fix. But now I think of it, how do I say it? It's like,
You're like, well, that's one less thing to go wrong.
Yeah, one less thing to go wrong.
Yeah, it's just spinning it so that it's a positive outlook, and you can really do that with anything.
One of these days it's gonna stop breaking. Just when it happens, I don't know. As we stated earlier, we had budgeted for breakdowns and did expect breakdowns. We budgeted $200 a month, which over the course of the year would have been $2,400. But we blew through $2,400. It was actually $2,500 in 5 months. And so it's a little scary for us, but once we got the complete underlying issue fixed and we understood what the RV was and how big the fuel tank was, we found all that out on the last and final breakdown that we had. And once we figured out all that information, the rest of the trip was just smooth sailing. So just have the willpower to get through all these trials and tribulations. Whether you have a new RV, an old RV, you're gonna go through these types of issues. They break down, things break, and you're just gonna have to deal with those if you wanna do this lifestyle of full-time RV living. So.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for that. We wanted to share with you guys all of the realities of what we went through, so you didn't think that it was all rainbows and butterflies, because we did have our tests and we did have our trials, and we feel so much better getting through those trials and getting out on the other side, because we've grown into who we are today. So can't recommend RVing enough, but be prepared, you will break down.
Yeah. Alright guys, we will catch you on the next video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like it and share it with your friends.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content, and as always guys, we'll see you on the next video.
Bye!
Nailed it. That was good.
Okay, awesome.